Manjushri is the Bodhisattva of wisdom, and one of his forms, the thousand-armed Manjushri, appears primarily in the Mogao caves in northwest China. There, the deity was nearly always paired with the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara on opposite walls or on opposite sides of a doorway. Curiously, this pairing is absent from any of the Buddhist sutras associated with the two. The thousand-armed Manjushri appeared in the Mogao cave shrines only from the Tang to Song dynasties. Commonly depicted as a young prince, the new representation as a thousand-armed deity was a significant departure from the standard human form, in which he had hitherto been portrayed in mural paintings of the Mogao cave shrines. In one representative painting, the most characteristic features of the thousand-armed Manjushri are the arms that fan around his body and the begging bowls supported in each hand. A tiny figure of Shakyamuni Buddha emerges from the begging bowls that are held in front of the body and in the innermost layer of hands. The arrangement of Manjushri's arms is striking in its similarity to Avalokiteshvara, the only other Buddhist deity commonly depicted with 1,000 arms. This iconography is described in the Sutra of the Thousand-Armed Manjushri. In the midst of the ocean of Dharmadhatu, nature of the Vairochana Tathagata, that is the secret Vajradhatu lotus pedestal stored in the world ocean, there is a great holy one, Manjushri Bodhisattva. His body appears golden, and from his body emanates 1,000 arms, 1,000 hands, and 1,000 begging bowls. From the begging bowls appear 1,000 Shakyamuni Buddhas. The Shakyamuni Buddhas further manifest 10 trillion Shakyamuni Buddhas. The emphasis in images of the thousand-armed Manjushri, particularly when it is paired with a thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara, is likely on the salvific qualities of Manjushri that were emphasized in the Mount Wutai cult that flourished from the 7th century onward. The cult of Manjushri addressed anxieties centering on the age of the final Dharma that was believed to begin, roughly, 1,000 years after the death of the historical Buddha Shakyamuni, during which time Buddhism would fall into decline and none would be able to attain enlightenment. In the absence of this Buddha, it was believed that whoever heard the name Manjushri or saw his image would receive benefits, including the promise of being reborn in a pure land. Of course, the advantage of being reborn in a pure land was the potential for receiving Buddhist teachings and insights directly from a Buddha, thereby expediting one's progress towards enlightenment. The basic iconographic features of the thousand-armed Manjushri, as described in the Sutra of the Thousand-Armed Manjushri, remain consistent from painting to painting. However, there is considerable variation in the numbers and types of Manjushri's attendant figures, and also between the attendant figures in the retinues of Manjushri and Avalokiteshvara, none of which are described in the sutra. For example, in this mid-Tang, Mogao Cave 144, painting of thousand-armed Manjushri, the total number of attendant figures is 12, far fewer than those accompanying the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara directly opposite, which total 18. Within a century, however, the thousand-armed Manjushri and Avalokiteshvara in the late Tang Mogao Cave 14, from the start of the video, both have 22 attendant figures, although not all are identical. Furthermore, the two are painted in a similar style with heavy modeling of the face and body, and with identical crowns, halos, and jewelry. Although the complementary nature of wisdom and compassion might appear to be an obvious reason behind the pairing of these deities, the visual evidence demonstrates that the iconographic pairing of the thousand-armed Manjushri and Avalokiteshvara was distinct from earlier narrative pairings, which had underscored different qualities in counterpoint, such as Bodhisattva versus layperson, or wisdom versus universal virtue, and instead emphasize latent commonalities through the mapping of iconographic motifs of Avalokiteshvara onto images of Manjushri. This, in turn, reflected their converging roles during the Tang dynasty as savior deities, who were capable of manifesting in different corporeal forms. Such conceptual overlaps in the cults of Manjushri and Avalokiteshvara, more than any individual textual source, were probably responsible for the pairing of their thousand-armed forms, as well as the simultaneous mapping of iconographic attributes of Avalokiteshvara onto images of Manjushri.